There's something about watching someone pour everything they have into a moment, and then having to sit with the silence after it's gone. That's where we find Alex today. Not at the finish line. She was chasing, but somewhere harder to describe. Somewhere between exhaustion and honesty, between the version of this story she wanted to tell and the one she actually has to live with right now. And honestly, that's worth talking about, because what happened in Rome wasn't just a tennis match. It was one of those moments that reveals something real about a person. And if you've ever wanted something so badly that losing it physically hurts, then you already understand exactly what she's carrying right now. So let's get into it. Alex walked off that court in Rome knowing the score was final, knowing that no amount of replaying the points in her head was going to change anything. The umpire had already called it. The match was done. But here's the thing about athletes who genuinely care. And I mean care. At a cellular level, the match doesn't end when the last point is played. It follows you. It sits next to you when you're trying to breathe through it courtside. It rides with you in the elevator back to the hotel. It's still there when the room is quiet and there's nothing left to distract you from your own thoughts. Alex said it herself. She was still carrying every point, every chance she had, every moment where she told herself she could turn it around. And that weight doesn't just disappear because the scoreboard went dark. That's not weakness. That's what genuine investment looks like. And Rome, of all places, is not a tournament where you can just shrug off an early exit. There's history baked into the clay there. There's something about the atmosphere in Rome that makes every match feel like a statement, like you either belong there or you don't, and Alex went in wanting to prove she did. She wasn't just going through the motions. She prepared. She worked with her team. She visualized what she wanted to bring onto the court. The belief she felt walking into that qualifier was real, and that matters because false belief crumbles quickly under pressure. Real belief is the kind that makes the loss hurt more because you weren't just hoping, you were genuinely convinced you had a shot. And then the match started to slip. Not all at once, not in some dramatic collapse, but in the quiet, painful way that tight matches tend to slip away. A point here, a hesitation there, an opportunity that passed just a half second too quickly. She described feeling close. And I think that's the most brutal part of the whole thing. Close is almost worse than not being in contention at all, because close means you could see exactly what you needed to do. You just couldn't quite do it in time. There were stretches where her game was exactly where she wanted it to be, where the patterns made sense, and the court felt like it was opening up. But tennis has this cruel quality where even when you're playing well, you're never more than a few points away from a momentum shift that completely changes the texture of the match. And once that shift happens, once you feel it tipping, the mental game becomes everything. That's where things got complicated. Alex was honest about this, more honest than a lot of players are willing to be publicly. She noticed herself reacting instead of controlling. Instead of stepping in and dictating how points were being played, she found herself adjusting, chasing the rhythm of her opponent rather than imposing her own. And when you're in a qualifier, playing someone who is just as hungry, just as prepared, just as desperate for that same small opening into the main draw, giving away that kind of control is costly. You give the other player room to breathe. You let their confidence grow. And slowly, the match becomes theirs to win rather than yours to take. She talked about a specific game where she had a chance to break. She felt it, that moment where everything sharpens, and you just know that this is the point in the match where things could change. She told herself all the right things. Stay in the pattern. Don't rush. Trust your preparation. But when those key points arrived, there was just enough tension in her body, just enough tightening to affect the outcome. Not dramatically, not obviously, but enough. Those are the moments that stay with you long after the match is over, because the margin between taking them and losing them is so impossibly small. And yet, that small margin is everything. After that, she described chasing the match, which, if you've played any competitive sport at any level, you know exactly what that feels like. You stop playing your game and start playing the game you think you need to play to catch up. You force things. You try to manufacture momentum rather than building it. And sometimes it works, but more often it pulls you even further from where you need to be. She knew it was happening. She could feel herself doing it in real time. But awareness doesn't always translate into correction, especially when the clock is running and the pressure is compounding with every game. There was one moment she mentioned late in the match where she let go a little, stopped overthinking, stopped trying to engineer every point, and just played. And in that stretch, something shifted. The freedom came back. The game felt natural again. But by that point, she told herself the truth that most players can't bring themselves to say out loud during a match. Too much ground had already been given away. And that's its own kind of heartbreak, finding your best tennis when the window is nearly closed. What I find genuinely compelling about the way Alex processed all of this is that she didn't reach for excuses. She didn't talk about conditions or circumstances or external factors. She looked inward, which is honestly harder. It's much easier to find something outside yourself to blame when a match doesn't go your way. It's much harder to sit down with your team, go through the film, and say, here's exactly where I gave it away, here's what I need to be better at. She did that, and she talked openly about what she found. The mental side, not just the technical decisions or the tactical choices, but the deeper layer underneath all of it. How she manages herself when things aren't going perfectly. How she stays present without letting the pressure stack up until it's sitting so heavy on her shoulders that her game starts to bend under the weight of it. Because here's what separates the players who break through at this level from the ones who keep getting close. It's not always the ground strokes. It's not always the fitness or the tactics. It's the ability to walk into the most important points of a match and feel clear. Not fearless, because fear is normal and fear means you care, but clear, settled, decided. And that clarity is something you can't fake and you can't shortcut. You earn it through exactly these kinds of experiences, through the matches that hurt, through the qualifiers that end too soon, through the moments where you feel the pressure close in and you don't quite handle it the way you wanted to. Every one of those moments is adding to something, even when it doesn't feel like it, even when it just feels like another loss to carry home. Alex talked about the fans too, and I want to spend a moment on that because it says something about where her head is at, even in the middle of disappointment. She didn't just thank people in that autopilot way that athletes sometimes do when they're trying to say the right things. She acknowledged that it's not easy to watch a match like that one if you're someone who's been following her journey and hoping for more. She gets it. She understands that the people who support her want to see her go deep in these tournaments, want to see all the work pay off in real time. And she knows that today wasn't that. But she was clear about something else too. That disappointment doesn't change her goals. It doesn't erode her motivation, if anything. And I think this is the part that tells you the most about who she is. It reminds her how much she wants it. Because you don't hurt like this over something you're only halfway in on. The kind of pain she's describing, the kind where you replay every point, where you sit with it in the quiet of a hotel room, where it still feels fresh and heavy hours after the last ball was struck. That's the pain of someone who is completely invested in what she's doing. And that level of investment, that refusal to be casual about it, is actually what makes the difference in the long run. It just doesn't always feel like an asset when you're in the middle of it. Now, I think it's worth stepping back for a second and talking about the bigger picture here. Because this wasn't just any tournament. This was Rome. This was a qualifier for one of the most prestigious clay court events on the calendar, and Alex was in it. Not watching it, not commentating on it. In it, fighting for a spot in the main draw. And while the result wasn't what she wanted, the fact that she's competing at this level, preparing with this level of seriousness, hurting this much when it doesn't work out, that tells you everything about the trajectory she's on. Qualifier exits are part of every professional tennis player's story, even the ones who end up holding Grand Slam trophies. The difference isn't in avoiding these moments. It's in what you extract from them when they happen. And the way Alex talked about this loss suggests she's not just going to file it away and move on. She's going to actually sit with it, understand it, and find the things inside it that make her better. That's a skill in itself. A lot of athletes process losses by rushing away from them. They focus on the next thing as quickly as possible because staying in the discomfort is genuinely hard. But there's information inside that discomfort, and the players who are willing to stay in it long enough to find that information are the ones who tend to show up differently in the next big moment. She talked about balance a lot, not just tactical balance on the court, but the emotional balance of holding perspective and feeling at the same time, which, honestly, is harder than any technical skill in tennis. Perspective says this is one match. Perspective says she's still learning, still building, still adding layers to her game and her mental approach. Perspective says losses like this can become catalysts if she uses them correctly. But emotion says she's tired of almost, tired of close, tired of walking away, knowing she was in positions to make something happen and didn't fully take them. And here's the thing. Both of those things are true simultaneously. You can understand intellectually that one match doesn't define anything and still feel it as if it defines everything. You can know that there's more ahead and still grieve what didn't happen today. That tension doesn't mean she's being irrational. It means she's being human. And I think that's what makes this whole reflection so worth listening to. She's not performing resilience. She's not packaging her loss in a way that's designed to make everyone feel better. She's just being honest about where she is. And where she is right now is somewhere between understanding and hurting. Those two things coexisting, neither one canceling the other out. Just sitting there together in the same chest, in the same tired body that walked off that court in Rome. The part about being close, about being able to see the door, and almost reaching it, but not walking through, that's going to stay with me for a while. Because that image captures something that goes way beyond tennis. How many people reading this right now know exactly what that door looks like? Know exactly what it feels like to be close enough to touch the thing you want, and then have the distance between you and it stay exactly the same no matter how hard you push. That's not just a tennis experience. That's a human experience. And Alex is living it publicly, which takes a certain kind of courage on top of everything else. Because choosing to be transparent about this stuff, choosing to say I'm disappointed and I'm still processing, and I don't have all the answers yet, rather than hiding behind generic post-match language, that's not nothing. That's actually significant. I think what I want to leave you with is this. Today ended a certain version of what Alex hoped this week in Rome would look like. That version is gone now. She knows it. She's not pretending otherwise. But what she's also clear about is that there's another version of this story still being written. One that includes what she learned today. One that includes the way she's going to respond to this over the next few days, when the sting fades just enough to turn feeling into fuel. One that includes every match that comes after this. Every court she steps onto, carrying the memory of what it felt like to be this close and not get through. Because that memory isn't just weight. It's also information. It's also motivation. It's also the kind of thing that, at exactly the right moment, in exactly the right match, makes you take the ball a fraction earlier, commit to the pattern a fraction more completely, stay in the tension a fraction longer without flinching. And those fractions, those tiny invisible adjustments, are often the entire difference between close and through. Alex said it's not over. Not for her. Not the larger story. And I believe her. Not because it's a nice thing to believe, but because of how she talked about all of this. Because of the specificity. Because of the honesty. Because of the fact that she's not just shaking it off. She's actually digging into it, sitting in the discomfort, and doing the work of understanding what it means. That's what the best players do. Not just the ones with the biggest backhands or the fastest serves, but the ones who figure out how to turn their hardest moments into their most useful ones. Rome didn't go the way she wanted, but what she does with Rome, how she carries it forward, how she lets it shape the player and the person she's becoming, that part, that hasn't been decided yet. And that, honestly, is the most interesting part of this whole story.